Yeah, I second that motion. I call the question on motion. Those in favor, let me know by raising your right hand. Commissioner Sampson.
Looking at the monies that we've collected thus far and looking at the monies that we have borrowed, I was thinking in terms of us looking at the budget and prioritizing our spending. In other words, I wanted to take the monies that would be needed to pay salaries for the remainder of the year, set it aside. Take the money that's needed for insurance for the remainder of the year, set it aside. And take monies that would be needed for utilities for the remainder of the year and set that aside. Because I think we have an average figure on a monthly basis and multiply it times 12 that would give us insurance money as well as utility money to see how far the monies that we have will get us throughout the rest of the year so that we can at least make sure we can meet the salary obligation. I know that it takes about $110,000 per pay period to make payroll. And we have, I believe, 24 more pay periods for the remainder of the year. Now, when I multiply $110,000 times 24, I come up with $2.6 million. And then I look at the budget, the amounts that we have in the general fund, the amount of money we have as revenue coming in. We got 1.57 million. We need 2.6 just to make payroll. I concluded that we pretty much can't do it unless we take everything that's in the general fund now and allocate it for salaries for the remainder of the year, and it won't cut it. Now, the problem I'm having is the other revenue, because I talked with Buddy, the 3.6 million that come from property taxes, we've collected 90% of that. So you only have about 300,000 more to come in. The 2.4 million that's other revenue to give us a total $6 million budget. That's where the problem is, whether or not that money will come in large enough amounts to pay our bills. And I don't believe that it is. I think it's coming in 50 to 60, maybe even $100,000 a month. And if we allocate the money that we have for salaries for the remainder of the year, I just don't know how we're going to make it is what it amounts to. So I'm trying to figure out a way that we can get past August, September, because last year we had the 1.5 and came September, August, it was time for us to borrow another 0.4 million to make it. I think the problem this year is we don't have that cushion to even make it. And so I'm not certain as to what needs to be done, but I know something has to be done because it's just plain not adding up. One of the things I had thought to do was to maybe sit down and have a conversation with the judge and apprise him of what the situation is, because the money's just not there. Even when I look at the 2.4 million that's supposed to be coming from other revenues, there's no guarantee that that's going to come in, and that's one of the problems. And even if you divided it up on a monthly basis, you're talking about $200,000 a month. And I don't see that we have $200,000 a month coming in from all of the other sources of income that we have, of revenue that we have. So unless somebody has some knowledge about something that I don't, it looks even worse than I thought.
Commissioner Sampson, your point's well made, and of course, the revenue figures that you talked of, the best thing is to reflect back on revenue for the past year, 2 years, I would say, and see the flow of that revenue into the county. I know that you're working on putting projected revenues together right as we speak. Is that right?
That is correct.
Right now?
And on the basis of what he is asking, for the last 2 years, I've done a cash flow analysis And I made that available to y'all to show you, last year it will run out in August. I've not had a chance to do it this year because of other factors.
But what Commissioner Sampson has brought up, and I agree with, is the fact that we got to get that documented and identified as close as we can, because there's not the luxury this year of going back and saying that we need more tan or anything of that nature to get through the end of the year. It's not there. It's not out there. So.
But before we go through the process of allocation, I think what I'd like to do is ask our attorney, Mr. Richardson, can we in fact set aside monies for a specific thing like for salaries?
That's stupid.
And if we are doing that, and say somebody does happen to go over on their salary, could we then withhold monies for salaries if that is the case?
Well, the first part is yes, you can. I mean, you can figure out an allocation and how you want to use the money. That's just part of what y'all are doing each year. And you can be specific about it. Moves the general funds, trying to determine how to expend them. Now, the second part that we talked about from time to time over the years about what you can do when people are over budget. That's a more complicated kind of thing, but
Okay, so.
there's ways of doing it.
So in essence, we as our review of the revenue and balance of the general fund, we can project it out in a lockbox, so to speak, as far as it will go, is that right? And be amendable, as we know from our last year's experience and the previous year's experience, the amendment process of the budget is one that we need to be aware of and working at, so.
I don't even think that we have to amend the budget to do this, because this could be an in-house kind of thing, that's allocating funds internally for specific amounts of specific things. It's nothing that's changed the budget, it's just that for certain items on the budget, we're laying aside X number of dollars to take it, so I don't even see that that's
No, that wouldn't require an amendment. An amendment would be required if you were gonna
change something in the budget.
change something.
So we're not changing anything in the budget, just
Okay.
allocating funds for certain items in the budget.
Well, let me ask you this question. I'll be, Chairman said something about a lockbox. I don't want to deal with a lockbox because they raided Social Security with a lockbox. Social Security had a lockbox, but they went in there and raided it and see what kind of situation we in. I'd like to say this too. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Mr. Bennett came here back in about February, March. Mr. Bennett told us that when we were spending money that we're gonna run out, that we're gonna be broke by the 1st of July. If I hear what I'm hearing saying that we don't have that cushion no more to go borrow no more money after 1.5 is gone, is that true? What happened to the cushion that we had? If I'm hearing things, I heard it say we don't have that cushion no more. If we run out that $1.5 million, so we cannot go and borrow no more money. Say the cushion is gone. I don't know what SunTrust saw, but SunTrust had to see something when they dropped us. I don't know what they saw. I don't know what document that they had, because we were paying them on time. And so they just dropped us like that. And so now we picked up Wells Fargo, but Wells Fargo didn't give us a line of credit. They just only gave you $1.5 million. So we can't go back to them anymore. So we gave all kind of raises the 1st of January. So why would we worry about running out of money? And we gave all kind of raises, $6,000, $3,000, $2,500. I didn't hear anything mentioned then about we gonna run out of money.
Mr. Bryant, the budget.
I just asked the question.
The budget, sir, was set at the time the budget was set, which was in December, and it has not changed from that thing. The thing that we are talking about is trying to make sure that we are using those dollars that we have and putting it out there in context of where it's gonna meet the needs of this community. And I believe that's effort that Commissioner Sampson's suggesting here, and what I hear him say makes a good common sense approach to work with the administrator and see if we can get it prorated out over the coming weeks to meet the needs. And of course, I don't know how anyone can determine the future beyond what we know is at hand, because I don't think any of us know what the future holds.
Common sense would tell us, our county manager put the budget together, he the one gives us all these numbers and figures. He should be the main one to tell us how far we can go and when we couldn't go. He the one give us these figures, he bring the budget out here every year and said, these are my figures. And we accept his figure as being the budget. And so if we run into that, in other words, he just give us, in other words, what you're saying is that he doesn't have a vision for down the road. He just giving us figures.
Commissioner Bryant, common sense seems to be some sort of assumption in some times around here, but the thing is, we have presented that figure.
No
last
sense
time.
too.
We were
Not beside common sense, but around this board here is no sense.
We were presented those figures last year, and we presented them again this year. I
Yeah.
believe. And I would ask Commissioner Sampson certainly, and any of the other board members to work with the administrator to proceed on with that. Is anything?
I'm not going to go so far as to try to designate funds at this time, but I do want to bring it back to the attention of the board once I have had an opportunity to sit with the administrator and look at these other revenue and the average amount that they're coming in, and look at last year's revenue. I pretty much have it. I know we don't have $200,000 coming in a month, but there are certain months when more money come in than other months. And I think what we want to do is make preparation to set us, to try to level it out.
Carry it through the end.
Rather than just take the 1.5 we have and put it for salaries and, let it go as far as it'll go. You don't have anything else to operate, to pay insurance, Social Security, utilities, etc. So rather than do that at this point, I would say let us think about it and then come back with a suggestion.
Okay, sir. And the thing is also, as we see in the first month, the adherence to that budget that we've set is critical to meet those designated monies as we go out in the months before coming out there. So, but I appreciate that.
Let me just.
Well, the chicken is coming home to roost. That's all I can say.
Mr.
I just want to make this statement as well. Even if everybody stays within their budget, we still gonna run out of money because we don't have enough to go through the end of the year.
As is
Presented right now.
What month we'll run out this year?
I'm not even trying to.
What month will we run out of money this year? I believe the people, the employee would like to know, so they can get themselves situated if they're gonna run out of money in May, June, and July. Since you did all the figuring, now you don't wanna say it because your figure got to be wrong then. If you don't know when the money gonna run out, you ain't done no
figured
figure.
out just like I did.
I ain't figured out nothing like this because I know the money, common sense tell you the money gonna run out. If you looked at it last year, what Mr. Bennett said, our order, when he said that what we gonna come up with last year, we obviously had to come up with it this year.
Okay, sir. Let's move on in terms of and we'll work together into that. And last year, our situation was serious, more than serious. The same way this year, our revenue flow has been impacted by the economy, and just as the state and everyone else are having to adjust, we will continue to have to do and work with our staff, constitutional officers, and everybody to do as best we can through the coming year. Okay, let's move.
One more comment.